And the next day they were coming back from lunch, and they were going to their favorite beach, and they were making a left-hand turn to their favorite beach in Suburban, and they were hit by a huge tour bus. In the blink of an eye, 3 people were killed and 1 brain damage. So every couple lost a spouse. My dad was in a coma and my mom was gone. I learned in that moment that joy and grief can coexist and that gratitude and joy are connected. In that moment, really everything changed. The second you take your focus off yourself, off your mental health or your grief or whatever it is, and you focus on helping somebody else, something shifts inside of you, and the dots started to connect in my life that I was really put on this earth, I think, to be a messenger of service. How do we take that thing that happened to us and turn it into fuel for good? Sir? This is so pretty. I love this. This is gorgeous.
Take your pick wherever you want to sit. Wherever's your best side.
Okay.
To you. Oh, you move this around.
I don't really have the best side, but...
Welcome to Walk With Me Brother. Today's guest, a very special guest, is Heidi Johnson. Heidi Johnson is a non-profit founder, storyteller, and lifelong advocate for service. For more than 2 decades, she has worked alongside charities, hospitals, schools, and youth organizations, helping people lead with compassion during their hardest moments. Heidi is the founder of Charity Matters, a platform and podcast dedicated to sharing the stories of everyday heroes and non-profit leaders creating real impact. Heidi serves as an executive director for Tasks, a youth leadership organization reaching thousands of students every year. And she's co-founded the Spiritual Guild at Children's Hospital Los Angeles, which provides 24/7 multi-faith chaplain support to families, patients, and medical staff. But none of this work began as a career plan. It was shaped by sudden loss, grief, and the realization that service was the only way forward. Today, Heidi sits with us to talk about grief, responsibility, and how pain can be transferred into purpose. Welcome, Heidi.
Thank you, Rob. It's so fun to be in the passenger seat and not the driver's seat. I kind of like it. I'm just going to get comfortable and enjoy the ride here.
Please do. Yeah. Heidi, with every guest, giving you a little bit of an intro there. There's so much more to you. I'm intrigued to learn more a little bit about you. We spoke a little bit there off camera, but with every guest, just where you from? Where did you grow up? Where did it all start for Heidi?
It all started in LA. Here I'm an Angelino. I'm from a suburb called Pasadena. It's stone's throw from the Rose Bowl for all our football fans out there. And or the Rose Parade is, I think, what our little city's known for. And I grew up in suburbia in LA, and LA was a little bit smaller then, and really from a huge, extended, big Irish Catholic family that I just had kind of an idyllic childhood, honestly, just with lots of aunts and uncles and family and riding bikes. And, we didn't have social media. So life was just simple and easy and joyful, and just really had fantastic parents and 2 younger sisters. And I had just a really great childhood, which sounds weird, but it's abnormal these days and I feel very blessed. I really feel so grateful.
Thank you for watching Walk With Me Brother. We are a relatively new podcast. Without your support, without your help, we cannot grow. So please subscribe. Please give us a thumbs up. Please share our episodes. We've got every single week. We have entrepreneurs, doctors, veterans, people, experts within their field, all talking everything related to mental health. So if you haven't catched our previous episodes, go and watch them now. But follow us along and please support our amazing journey. What early influence, such a happy childhood like that, what early influences and values did you kind of...
I have an aunt who's a nun.
Wow.
And so she's had a huge influence on my life. And she was the principal of my school when I started kindergarten. And she became a missionary in Africa. She ran hospitals in D.C., kind of like the equivalent of like the Betty Ford for clergy. She was on Oprah in the 80s before Spotlight broke with sexual abuse. And she's really... worked tirelessly to heal victims from the abuse scandal. She's a huge role model to me. But my grandmother, even in her 90s, was like taking care of, quote, old people. You know, she was like, oh, I'm not old, but, you know, they need, you know, communion or they need. So I always had, my mother was very involved in our community. I just grew up with a family that that's what, it was like brushing your teeth. We just gave back. It's what we did. It wasn't weird. It was just what we did.
I love that. Yeah. So they were, those three ladies, you would say probably the early influences of the service
100%,
nature of what you do now.
100%. And really the community all around me was, everyone was, I mean, at least I thought everyone was like that. I don't know.
Did you ever, just growing up like that, kind of in that happy bubble almost?
Yeah, for sure.
Did you ever like imagine what because I think I did at one point, like imagine what my life was going to be like. Did you ever have that vision? I mean, you're a mum now,
Yeah,
so.
no, I really thought I was going to be, when I was young, I thought I was when I was really little, I wanted to be a trash man because my dad was in the recycling business. So I wanted to be a trash man like my dad. He called himself a trash man, and I thought it was really cool when I was really little. When I was older, I wanted to be an interior designer. You know, I wanted to have kids. I just didn't really, I knew I wanted to have a career. I didn't really go farther than kind of like, okay, you're going to get through high school, you're going to go to college, you're going to get a job. You know, it's just kind of checking the boxes that I was told I was going to have to check. And I was just going along happy, go lucky, having fun, getting a little bit of trouble, being a little mischievous, a little naughty. I like to think those were early signs of leadership, but I was a little mischievous. You know, spiking the punch freshman year in class and getting the teacher drunk, you know, a couple little things like that. But yeah, it was innocent and great. And there was not any clear vision that I would be where I am now.
And was helping like always in your identity? Was it in those early days or even in the kind of mischievous days, the fun days? Have you always been helping others like you are?
Yes, but when I was helping people, I mean, and I'm not saying this disparagingly, but it was like, oh, you're going to be a part of this group and we're going to go, you know, do stuffed stockings, or we're going to go to this. It was like, okay, I had no connection to it. I had no depth to it. It was just, like I said, brushing my teeth. It was something that we did. The dots didn't really connect until later. And so when people talk about service sometimes being, oh, I'm just going to go work at a soup kitchen, or I'm going to go stuff envelopes for something, in that kind of monotonous way that people think about service, that's kind of where I was, I think. And really through college, I served, you know, in college because my sorority sisters were doing it. I served in high school because my girlfriends were doing it. When I was a young mom, I joined groups where I could meet other young moms that I was, you know, working at Kids Space Museum in Pasadena, which is a great place you should be bringing your kids.
Yep.
I was really involved with that. But I'm going to be just super transparent. I had a little bit of an ulterior motive. You know, it was social, and it was a place where I had connection. It wasn't like on the path to become like my aunt. You know, there wasn't any. And by the way, I'm still not on that path. Like, there's no Sister Teresa here. I'm kind of, I kind of call myself a salty sailor meets Catholic schoolgirl. So yeah, there was not any of that clarity on what service was. It was just more of something that I just did.
But did you ever imagine your life going in this direction as it's? Because today you wear many, many, many hats.
Many. No. I did not see this coming, like I didn't see everything coming, right? And so that is, never did I think I would be doing the things that I've done, or being in the place where I'm at. Never.
Let's talk about Charity Matters, which is your nonprofit, which has been going, what, 20?
So Charity Matters is almost like 15 years
15
old.
years.
I always lose track of the time of Charity Matters.
Was it 2000?
Well, so 2003, I started Spiritual Care Guild. So Spiritual Care was really the nonprofit that I founded. So that came first. That was really what came first, was the moment that changed everything, that made me start Spiritual Care. So that's kind of the longer story, but that's the catalytic moment that everything changed.
So just so our viewers will know, what was that moment that everything changed?
So in 2002, November 2002, I was a young mom of three little tiny tots, and I got that phone call in the middle of the night, the one that they always warn you about that you don't want to get. And I got that phone call saying there'd been a horrible accident. My parents were 60, and they were celebrating 60th birthdays. They were with all their best friends, four couples in Mexico, having the time of their life. The night before, my mom said it was the happiest day of her life as she watched the fireworks over the cliffs in Puerto Vallarta and was with all their friends. And the next day, they were coming back from lunch, and they were going to their favorite beach, and they were making a left-hand turn to their favorite beach in the Suburban, and they were hit by a huge tour bus. And in the blink of an eye, three people were killed and one brain damaged. So every couple lost a spouse. And my dad was in a coma, and my mom was gone. And so we get this crazy phone call, and life just changed in a blink. But my husband went down to Mexico and saved my dad's life. He got a med jet and got him out of there. And my dad died twice in the hospital in Pasadena. We were still trying to get the other bodies out of Mexico. And my dad was in a coma for almost a month.
Wow.
And he woke up to find out that his wife of 35 years was gone. His best friends were gone. The funerals had happened.
Wow.
And, but he went home on Thanksgiving Day. And I learned in that moment that joy and grief can coexist, and that gratitude and joy are connected. And in that moment, really everything changed. And then a year later, there was a lot of grief, obviously. And we had the gift of faith and family and friends and food. And we had everything you could want in a tragedy. There is no perfect anything, but we had all of that. And a year to almost the day of the accident, I was invited down to Children's Hospital, Los Angeles, by a friend of mine who went to high school with my husband, who happens to be a Catholic priest. Really fun guy. He's now at Cedars. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
And so Father John said, Heidi, I need you to come to the hospital. I'm the only chaplain here for over 300,000 kids. And I can't greet the helicopter. I can't do last minute 911 baptisms, end of life. I can't do it all. Doctors and nurses don't have time. Bring some friends and come. And so I said, no, I'm grieving. I have nothing. No. And he said, Heidi, please. So Catholic guilt is real, and down we went. And shorten the story as best I can. 9 of us were on tour, and we ran into a mother whose son had been in an accident. And she looked at us in those hallways, and she said, Father John, he's going home on Thanksgiving Day. And it was like a lightning bolt. People used to talk about a calling or being called or whatever. Whatever that was, I experienced it in the halls of Children's Hospital Los Angeles, and I knew right then and there we were starting a nonprofit to provide chaplains of all faiths. So I was being asked to give back the gift that I already had in my accident to other people, right? The irony of that is just unbelievable. And so we went to work, and today Children's Hospital has 30 chaplains of religions, I don't even know what they are, a $10 million interfaith center. Our chaplains do medical rounds with the doctors. We have our national template of pediatric chaplaincy, so children's hospitals all over the country follow our model. And we changed the culture of a 100-year-old institution.
Wow.
And we did that in the first, almost 5-6 years of starting.
That's wild. If you are struggling right now, or if you know somebody who is, please talk to somebody. Please reach out to someone. Talk to a friend or call a trusted helpline. In the US, you can reach the National Crisis and Helpline by texting and dialing 988. If you're outside the US, you can find help on findahelpline.com, and I will put all of that information in the description below. So please reach out to someone if you're struggling or if you know someone who is.
But it just, that's what started the domino effect of everything else. Okay. The accident was the trigger, the first domino to fall.
So was that moment in the hallway that it hit you?
Hit me.
Okay. And I'll I know we spoke briefly off camera there, but my non-profit, completely obviously different scenario. Similar thing. I think I realized that my gift was to help others struggling with mental health. And the reason my initial idea was to go and raise money for somebody else, another charity.
Right.
So that's where that started.
Which is a good idea, Rob.
But you know what?
1.6
I started
billion.
to look into it, and I don't know, and you'll have way more information on this. When I kind of started to question where some of these charities, and I'm not going to name them, men's mental health and mental health charities started to put their funds, I couldn't get a direct answer, and they wouldn't clarify. So let's say, for example, my goal was to raise $200,000 on a run across America. Okay,
Right.
where's $200,000 going to be spent? Oh well, it's X, Y. We'll go there, and 18 or 25 cents on a dollar will actually go. I'm like, well, that makes no sense. I'm not going to run 3,000 miles to not, and I kind of like, well, no, I want to say when it's going to. Oh no, it's not that. So I thought, start my own. Well, and that was it.
I say good for you. I mean, we have 1.6 million nonprofits in the United States. We're the most philanthropic country in the world. I think maybe there might be a country in Sweden or Norway or somewhere that might claim to be more philanthropic. So that might be up for debate. You guys can fact check me on that. I don't want to be quoted for bad information, but we give hundreds of billions of dollars away every year in the United States. And people are good, and people want to do good. So, and people want to know where their money's going.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's great. And I want to know more about that. We need to have you on Charity Matters.
We will. I would love to. I would love to. So let's talk about a little bit. So your first nonprofit was set up pretty much immediately after that, right?
2003. Yeah.
Okay.
We started in 2003. Spiritual Care Guild is still going at Children's Hospital Los Angeles. I'm still on their advisory board, and I was a trustee at the hospital. The last few years, I just rolled off the hospital's board. But the chaplaincy program is still thriving, and I felt like starting a business is kind of like having a child, and when spiritual care was about 4 or 5, and when you get there with your nonprofit, you'll see this. There's a moment where I felt like, okay, it's running, it's going to school, it's off on its own. It doesn't need me.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
That's
need
why
me,
I want to get to. Yeah.
Right. It doesn't need me, and so I intentionally stepped away, because I wanted to grow and thrive and have new, leadership and ideas. And I started with a group of women. It wasn't me alone, and so there was phenomenal resources of people and talent. So it was intentional for me to kind of step aside. So that's when I started Charity Matters. After that.
So what year was that?
2009, I think, or something like that. And I really started at the time. There wasn't CNN Heroes. There wasn't People Magazine Heroes among us. There was no information on nonprofit founders. And I started thinking, well, who are these crazy people, you included, Rob, crazy people who do this work? And what's their story? I know mine. And I thought I need to find these people, because these people are entrepreneurs. They're starting businesses that rely on the kindness of others, which is an innately bad business model, as you will quickly learn. And why did they do this? What happened to them? What's their backstory? And so I went on this mission to find these people, and I'm still to this day. Now we have a podcast that's 5 years old, but these conversations inspire me every single week.
Sure, yeah.
These are the angels among us. They are the most incredible people on our planet. Something happened to them, and they changed the trajectory of their life to serve and give.
Yeah,
and that really is the story that I tell every week, and I love telling it, and I love collecting stories and amazing people.
Yeah, I've got a lovely lady actually for you. She runs a non-profit here as well called Project Roper. So I'll have to introduce you to her. She's great. It's called Caitlin. I've been working with her for a few years as well, but she gives clothes to and I was always amazed by her story, because she just started kind of giving clothes to the unhoused out of the boot of a car.
Right.
You say trunk in America.
Yes,
call
the
it
boot. I knew what you're talking about.
And it's now this phenomenal beast that she's. But yeah, definitely, she's awesome. But yeah, the non-profit people I've met have been very inspirational. I think, where does that inspiration come from? I think that's the question.
Well, and I think innately, I think we're all put on this planet to serve each other.
Yeah,
That's really why we're here.
I agree.
Right? That's why we're here. We're here the process is to kind of find our gifts and figure out how to give them away. And that's a Pablo Picasso quote. I'm stealing it from him, so I'm not taking credit. But it really is why we're on this earth. And so I think really exploring all that, and everything leads to the next thing, right? And so, you start a nonprofit, and then all of a sudden I want to know who these people are that started, and it just keeps evolving into different ways that you can serve. And really, with Charity Matters, my mission was and is to help the helpers. And I figured if I can, because most nonprofit founders don't want to tell their own story. They want to help mental health. That's not about you. They want to provide chaplains of all faiths. It's not about me. But that founder's story is the spark. It's the passion that lights the inferno. And our job as nonprofit founders is to inspire community, to ignite all these people to be so excited about what we're doing that they want to do it too.
I agree.
And so that's really what we do. And really with Charity Matters, I just really think if I can keep helping the helpers, then that's the way to really magnify impact.
Somebody said to me, very close friend of mine said to me, because I'd pretty much gone below rock bottom, and the next minute I'm not just trying to sort myself out, but because of my bipolar, because I think there's 100 reasons, but I've always come up, as my wife says, coming up with a new idea every day. But when somebody said to me, like, why are you starting a nonprofit? Shouldn't you sort yourself out first? And mine was like, no, like this was my calling. Like this is how I'm going to get better myself. I don't think there's a bigger, because I'm a man of faith. I'm a man of, I do believe like there's no bigger reward than helping someone else.
100%. You're my people.
Yeah.
But really what happened to me, and I'm sure what's going to happen to you, is service healed me in unimaginable ways. I was grieving my mom, and I'd never had grief like that. I'd never experienced that kind of grief, and it rocked me to my core. And the second you take your focus off yourself, off your mental health or your grief or whatever it is, and you focus on helping somebody else, something shifts inside of you. And that is where healing begins, right there. That's where the magic happens.
I agree. So for all this work that you've done, how do all these kind of, let's say, problems that you're trying, how are they helping you? How has that helped you? As I was doing everything, and what happened when I started the nonprofit is I began to find my purpose. I began to find clarity in why I was put on this earth. I was 35 years old. I had kids. I had a great job in the software business. I was married. I had a house. Like, life was great. But I didn't realize I didn't have real purpose. And the dots started to connect in my life that I was really put on this earth, I think, to be a messenger of service. I really think I'm here to use my communication skills to inspire other people to serve. Because when someone helps somebody else, magic happens. And really that's why I do everything I do. It doesn't matter whether it's the nonprofit that I'm currently running, or Charity Matters, or I'm serving on a board, or doing a podcast. It's all the same to me. It's all service. It's all in how I serve. It's how I use my time. And it's really how I use my gifts to help. Rewarding. How rewarding. So your life at 35, you're 35, you're changing it instant, right? It just changed like that.
In a blink. And life does that, right? Life does that. Life happens. You get locked out, and you don't, life happens quickly, and there's no preparing, there's no preparing for tragedy. But we all get handed a bad card. I don't think any of us get out of here without one.
A test, right?
Right? At least one. And it isn't the bad card, but it's how we play it, right? How do we take that thing that happened to us and turn it into fuel for good? How do we use that as that energy and use it for good? And that's really the challenge, because it's easy to sit in it and stew on it or carry it around like a bag of rocks. But how do you internalize it? How do you recycle it? My dad is a recycler. I grew up in the recycling business. And even when I had a bad day at school, my dad would be like, don't kick the dog, or don't get mad at your sister. Go ride your bike around the block, or go, climb a tree, or go do something. But I was learning early to recycle my energy and use it in a different way. And that's really what this is. And it's really the change process, the changing that you want to happen. You want to take something bad and you want to make something good out of it. And I can say, honestly, I would do anything in the world to have my mother back, anything. But when I think about, it's now probably hundreds of thousands of children in the last 20 years that have had chaplains by their bedside, it gives me peace, and it gives me joy, and it gives purpose to her loss, and it makes it make sense.
Yeah.
It makes it make sense.
Yeah, that, how quickly did that, from you kind of having that idea as a 35-year-old mother of three, how quickly did that evolve, like from having one chaplain to 2 to 10? How quickly did that go?
So what we did is, Children's Hospital is lucky because we're affiliated with USC and we're a teaching hospital. And so what we did is we went to there was a department chair, but there was only Father John in the department, but there was Dagmar Graff, Reverend Dagmar Graff. She's still at CHLA. She's brilliant. She said, well, I wanted to become an accredited department so that we could teach chaplains. So I said, okay, well, what is that going to take? So she did all this accreditation for the department. And so every chaplain we hired, and at the time it was like $35,000. It was not a lot of money back then. Every chaplain we hired, they would then take 5 chaplain students, which are called CPE, Clinical Pastoral Educators. So they would take 5 students. So every time we could pay for one salary, we could take 5 more students underneath them. And so that's how we started building it out. And even the first year when we took the 5 students and we hired an additional chaplain, we now had people that were able to be on call on nights and weekends. It used to be 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, you could get a chaplain, only Father John, if he was available. Now you had all these students that could be on call. And so that's how we started building it out. Within the first year, we had 24/7 care. And today we have 30 chaplains.
Wow. And are you still growing?
Well, we're running out of physical space.
I was going to say, where do you all go?
Our physical footprint. We built a new hospital in the process too.
Wow.
And then we built the Interfaith Center. So families, and also really for our staff. Our staff really needs the faith as well. Whatever their faith tradition is, they need to renew. When a child that they've taken care of for 2 years goes home, they're sad.
Yeah.
When they lose a child, they're sad.
I'm sure.
When, there's a lot of, so we have to take care of our staff as well, which we do a lot for that, which is really, the chaplains do an enormous amount for the staff, which is, I think, one of the greatest renewable energy sources that we have in the hospital.
With the nonprofit that you started, obviously with the home life, you still had that grief, obviously the loss of your mother and tending to your father as well. But how did you kind of manage all of that? Because starting a nonprofit is one thing, being a mum is another, your grief is another. So how did all that play out?
It was really hard, I have to say. I do remember my oldest was maybe 6, I think. They were maybe like 6 and 4 and 1. And I do remember crying like hysterically, like I just had a trigger. I'd heard a song or something, and I remember sitting my 2 older boys down and saying, so mommy's really, really sad, and she keeps thinking about Marmee, their grandmother. And so every time I cry like this, I need you to just hug me until I stop. You don't want me to say anything. I just need you to stop whatever you're doing and just hold on to me until I stop. Can you guys do that? And they're like, yeah, mommy, we can do that. And so, so they were really so sweet and helpful in helping me through it, because there were tons of moments like that. But I remember the kids also, they went to school and they said, my mom's the president of Children's Hospital.
Yeah, of course.
Like, yeah, no, that's not really how it works, boys. But you know what? Bringing the kids down to the hospital and at an early age, they became philanthropic. They appreciated their health. They had never had gratitude because they had never seen sick kids.
Yeah.
And so it was really a lesson for our whole family too on how we as a family started giving and healing and showing up. And so it really, when I look back, it really did shape them in a lot of ways as well, which I'm incredibly grateful for. Even though there were times I'm like, Mommy can't be there and I can't be at your play, or because I had to make those choices. But I was a volunteer. I wasn't paid when I was doing it. It wasn't like it was money, but it was something I had to do.
That's funny that you say that, because what I'm about to embark on, and I think you just kind of hit a nail there. So I have this fear about leaving my kids for effectively, let's say 60, 70 days, right? And it's the biggest fear I've got because I hate being away from them. Even today, like they're at my mother-in-law's, and I think to myself, what kind of grounds me, what anchors me back is like, this is bigger than me. It's bigger than my kids.
Right.
And my goal, if we sit here a year from now, going into the next holidays and Christmas, and if I've saved one person, I've done my job. And if I've run across the country just to save, it's funny that you say that. Yeah.
Welcome to the nonprofit space, because I'm going to tell you right now, Rob, every single one of us starts out to save one person. Our spiritual care motto still is one spirit, one soul, one child at a time. We wanted to save just one child. And every single person I've interviewed on Charity Matters podcast or in the blog before there was podcasting, every single person I've talked to wanted to just help one person. Something horrible happened to them and they didn't want it to happen to the next guy. And if they could just help the next person. And then, of course, we become our own best and worst enemies. And we're like, oh, well, one, we can help 10, we can help 100, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's my goal. And let's see, like, I mean, in an ideal world, maybe it's a dad who's got kids, I don't know, but maybe it's, it's a son or a brother, I don't know. But ideally, there's someone here next year and you'll say, I saw you, blah, 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 this big brute of a guy running across the country who couldn't run very well, but you did it and just showed me that, strength kind of goes on. And that's
miracles or signs will start happening that will begin showing you're on your path. And so many things happened to us along the way with spiritual care that I don't believe in coincidences anymore, but I really felt like it was just a door opening in incredible ways. That just was like, keep going. And that's when I knew we were on the right path. And then when you get the feeling of knowing you are a tiny cog in the wheel of someone's life, and you will, there is no greater joy. There is nothing better than knowing that in some way you made a difference, that you made the world a little better than you left it.
Yeah, and then I think my wife's worried about what's next after this. So let's see.
Aren't we all?
I know. What would you say to people when pain has no, like, because I always try to figure out, because you've obviously got so much wisdom and knowledge and you've been through so much. What would you say to people when pain has nowhere to go? Like what's kind of...
Well, I think one of the wisest things my aunt said to me, when my nun aunt, the psychologist a long time ago, said years ago to me, people that are hurting hurt. And I remember just really thinking about that. And that's people that have so much pain, they don't know what to do with it, right? And they usually hurt the people that they love. They lash out when they're hurting, like a wounded animal, right? Will hurt. But you can just, if you can find the tiniest little place to just look at something that you care about, whatever it is, whatever that is to you, there is a nonprofit for everyone. And it doesn't matter if it's your gift that you have or something that you care about. Like I have she's become a girlfriend, and I just had her on again last week, so she comes to mind. But Jill Polito, she teaches yoga. She's a yoga instructor. And she had a really tumultuous childhood. She had a lot of pain. She ended up teaching yoga in juvenile hall. And now it's this huge program called Uprising Yoga where, these kids in juvenile hall who have so much pain, they learn how to use yoga. They learn how to process their pain. They learn, and now they want to, when they get out, they want to go teach yoga. They want to go help somebody else because helping is addictive. It's a great thing to be addicted to. I mean, my husband says it'd be better for us to shopaholic, but I don't know. Anyway, but I would say try to find some little way to do something for someone else, as tiny as it is, and just start there.
If I'm not wrong, you said service was the only way for you to move forward. Was that right? Yeah.
Yeah. I knew how to do it, but I didn't know how to start a nonprofit. And by the way, nobody does. I've interviewed thousands of nonprofit founders, and no one does. There is now a manual there is now that book, Nonprofit Founders for Dummies. Don't buy it. just be the entrepreneur like everybody else, and you figure it out the hard way, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm learning at the minute. But I'm a big believer. Where there's a will, there's a way, and me kind of going. My wife says I never look at instructions anyway, so I always try and figure it out.
But it's really the best way to learn by doing.
Talk me through today. You've got the Spiritual Guild, you got Charity Matters, anything
Task,
a
book,
yeah, let's talk about
best-selling book, podcast, a monthly magazine column. I don't know. I've got a lot of stuff going on.
Let's talk about Task because we're not talking about that. Then we'll get to the book.
So I was at Charity Matters. I started Charity Matters, and then in 2013, I was on a bunch of different nonprofit boards, and a couple of gentlemen that were on different boards with me said that they were involved with this youth leadership organization called Task, and that they were looking for a new executive director. And I said, oh, no. That is like dusty, musty, church lady, nun-like. That is not sexy. No, I'm not doing that. And so I started learning about what Task does. And their mission is to develop moral leaders who positively impact the world.
Are these young leaders?
Young, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders.
Wow.
So our college kids train our high school kids, and our high school kids teach our middle school kids.
Wow.
So we serve, when I started, we were serving 300 kids a year. We now serve 3,000 kids a year. We have 3 employees. We're a little tiny nonprofit, but we started in 1982. And I've been running it for the last 12 years. And so the reason that I took the job ultimately is because I'm planting the seed of compassion and service in 3,000 kids a year. Not me specifically, these college and high school kids are. I mean, I do get to work with them. But where else am I going to ever be able to have that? Like, it's pretty, so I also get to walk the walk every day with the people that I talk to.
Yeah.
Because I'm raising money, I'm raising scholarships so kids can go to our programs. I'm, dealing with grants and grant writing and marketing budgets and all the stuff.
You're a nonprofit pro now.
I don't know, but there's a lot of huge nonprofits, but there's also a lot of small, scrappy ones, and those are kind of where my heart is really in that. And to your point earlier about where the money goes. So
is that a norm then, like in terms, because this is a question really from me to you. Like, I always thought like non-profits, it all went there, but I realize people have costs and there's salaries and things like that. But what's in America, and I don't want to quote you on this, but is there an average of where that?
But you're going to.
Yeah. Is there an average of like how much of every dollar goes to that cause?
Well,
so I was pretty astounded.
Because the nonprofit was established as a tax code, right? And so the IRS, and I think it's like 1913, was 501c3 became the tax code.
Yep.
And so that tax code says that at least at minimum 51% of your company's income is going toward, its mission and
Okay.
cause. So technically, the IRS, I don't believe, audits a lot of nonprofits. Maybe they do, knock on wood somewhere, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully
You'd
they
like
do
to
not.
think
But,
that.
and there's been a lot of nonprofit stuff in the news about political nonprofits being used for different things, which is not good for our business
No.
of kindness, unfortunately. But so that's how it was set up in the United States as a tax code, and so nonprofits run under that, and so the leaner the budget, and here's the other piece of this: it's a two-pronged question, because people don't want to give to operating. If I want to help mental health, I don't want to help keep the lights on. I don't want to pay a salary. I don't want to pay a marketing director. I don't want to pay a social media person. I want to help the actual person. But the reality is, you need the marketing person to get the message out.
Yeah.
You need the executive director to do the grants and the fundraising. And so people forget nonprofits are businesses. And so a well-run business will give as much as it possibly can and have the slimmest overhead. A lot of foundations expect you to have a slim overhead. But sometimes it's easy to do that, and sometimes it's not. So doesn't mean that your passion for your mission has changed, but I do think it's good that people question where the money goes.
Yeah, I don't think we do that enough. I mean,
I agree.
yeah, just because, like you say, there's thousands of nonprofits out there. So
1.6 million
There's
in the United
millions.
States.
Yeah,
in the
God.
United States.
That's crazy.
Right.
So yeah, I was just, I've given a lot of money to different charities. I mean, I've raised money for NAMI and things like that in the past, but I've never really questioned it. And then I think because I was doing something a bit bigger this time around, I was like, well, I want to know where every cent's
Right,
going.
of course you do. Of course you do. So I think I think that those are good things, though, and I think people should question, and I think it's important.
So let's talk about quickly the book, Change for Good.
Yes.
Okay, best selling.
Yes.
So this, I'm gonna put this. Where can you buy this? Look,
You
first
can
off.
buy the book on Amazon.
Okay, perfect.
And it really is. It's a little bit of my story, but it really is more of the life lessons that I've learned from all these incredible nonprofit founders, and the lessons I've learned about giving and how it changes you. The lessons I've learned about finding your purpose, finding joy and gratitude, connection, community, all the things that happen when you stop and help somebody else. Your life changes forever.
What does it mention in here? Like, one question I had for you is, what do you wish people understood about living after loss?
There is so much joy on the other side.
Okay.
There's so much joy on the other side. Like any challenge you go through, you are stronger, you are more resilient, and for me, and we talked about this before off camera, but for me, really, my sense of time and how I use my time in my life, and how every choice I make with how I spend it, who I spend it with, has been changed forever. I really think about that before I commit to something. And if it's something that helps serve, helps provide service, helps be a messenger of service, or that brings me joy and connection and purpose and friendship and love and community, then it's always a yes.
Whoever's on this one is definitely put on the spot for you. So whoever's on our show, I always ask them, if someone is stuck right now, empty, full of grief, what advice, because you obviously got so much to give, what advice would you give to them?
I would say you have to really find someone else to help, because as bad off as you are, I will guarantee you there is somebody worse.
My mum always used to say that to me.
And it's the truth.
She always used to say it
Because
to
it's
me.
true.
There's always someone worse off than yourself.
There is. And the second that you realize that, your perspective and everything will shift. And your joy will begin to shift. Because when you start helping someone, everything changes. And there's a reason, Christmas, people talk about the season of giving, this magical spirit. we can have it every day. It isn't a season.
Yeah.
We can give every day of ourselves to make life better for somebody else in some way, whether it's just someone in your own home bringing them coffee, or it's, an aging parent or checking on a neighbor. It doesn't need to be starting a nonprofit. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be so simple. Talking to your neighbor. I mean, just the most basic thing makes the biggest difference. And start there and just keep going.
That's very wise words, and I'm looking forward to reading this book for sure. How do we turn, final question for you, sir. How do we turn pain into service without bypassing it, would you say?
Yeah, there's no getting through it, right? You can't just, it's a process.
Okay.
So you can start helping someone.
Yeah.
It's not going to instantly go away. You're still walking with your pain, but all of a sudden you're starting to use more of it in helping other people and less of it on your own repeat loop, your own. And I think people also with grief or pain, it's very hard. Like pity is the only word that I ever could relate that grief felt like, but it's not pity. And when you're in pain, it's not pity. But it feels like it's a self loop of pity, even though it's not what it is. It's different. So I don't want to underscore that it's pity, but you have to break that loop. And the way you break that loop is to do one act or something else. One tiny act of kindness. That's it. That's where it starts. And then you get a hit. You get an actual dopamine hit, which makes you feel great. And you want another one. So you do a little bit more. And if you're not careful, you're end up like me. You're gonna end up a total addict, and you're gonna be in Robb's chair, and you're gonna be the next guest on the podcast.
It's funny because there's one thing I question myself every day, and one thing I've spoke to my therapist about, and I've had people on the show and told me I was wrong, and I found that my purpose in life was having my kids, and I got told that was probably not the right way. Like your kids, and which I still to this day disagree with it. And I've had people on my show and said, no, you've got to find a purpose. Like you can't just live your life for your kids. But being a dad was my purpose.
Right.
But I felt like maybe this other calling kind of another purpose where, maybe I can all of that grief that I've had in those years of depression, now I'm starting to kind of turn that into helping others.
Right.
So there's kind of like, yes, my purpose is to be a dad, but maybe I have maybe you can have two purposes.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, I don't think you have to have one.
Yeah.
I mean, mine has clarified. Someone told me when my children were really little and that they didn't belong to me, that they belonged to the world, and that I was a temporary custodian of them.
I've heard that. Yeah.
And I have to say, it stuck with me.
I've heard that.
And I really felt like if I made them my purpose, then I would lose myself when they left.
I think that's what someone,
Right. Yeah. And so I kind of adapted that I was this, and I don't mean in this standoffish, like, oh, over there. No, I mean, my sons and I have a great relationship, and I love my children. And they're fantastic, wonderful, kind, philanthropic, good men. They are good men, which was my goal, was to raise good humans, good men. So I kind of just approached it a little bit differently, but they are your purpose right now, for sure.
Yeah.
And they have to be.
They have to be.
They have to be. 100%.
Yeah. So it's.
They're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah. I mean, of course, like I don't own it. It's not like that sense of like, oh, they're mine. Like, but I think it's just. I think because I'd struggled for so long, like to figure out like who I was, where I was, and then when I became a dad, everything I did just became better, and everything from, God, like trying to sort out my mental health, trying to get sober, and that was all because I had kids.
Right.
With I do often think, and I wouldn't say it's every day, but it's certainly a couple of times a week where I think to myself, God, where would I be now if I didn't have kids? Like,
Well,
my wife probably, I don't know where me and my wife would be, but where would I be without the kids? Like, because they're all I think about. They're all I want to be better for.
Right. And that's what they do, right?
Yeah.
You not only want to be better, but you want to show them better. You want to
you wanna-
model
yeah,
better. You
yeah.
want to, all those things. So it is such a crazy wild ride being a parent, but it is one of the most gratifying things. And when you get to start seeing, I'm privileged now to have adult children with my sons being 30 and 28 and 24, to see how they navigate in the world and what they do with their lives and people who they impact. It's really, there's a lot of pride and joy that
For sure.
just in, they are good, wonderful men, but my husband and I are incredibly proud of who they are.
Oh, it's awesome.
Incredibly proud. Yeah.
Amazing mother. All right. Heidi, thank you so much for just checking the time. Yeah. So thank you so much for sitting with us today and hearing. I could sit with you all day. I'm excited about your book. Like I say, this book is available on Amazon. I'll put the link in our description below. Your story reminds us that, I think for me, that pain doesn't really have to harden us. It can soften us a little bit, deepen us, and just redirect us to like more of a doing good as well.
Amen.
You've shown that leadership isn't about standing above others, but standing with them. And then just a reminder that we don't have to be do all this alone either.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It takes a village. And thank you for having me in yours. It's really been a privilege and a treat.
Well, now you know I've got a non-profit.
And now you have to come on a Charity Matters podcast.
Yeah. So it's still early days, but I'm excited by it. It's because when I speak to people about it, because I have two other businesses as well. I have my marketing business, which keeps the lights on. And I've got kind of another passion project, which is I make men's suits.
Oh.
That's where my little shop is. And then, but nothing lights me up about like mental health. Like if you go on my social, I try not to talk about it all the time because it can be a bit depressing as well. But when people say to me, "Oh wow, Rob, you're really passionate about that, aren't you? You like your face is light up." I'm like, yeah, it's just something like I feel like that's my calling, like to help other people with it.
I think it is. I think it is. And that's why we're all here. We're all supposed to do that. We're supposed to get excited about something and then give it to other people. That's what we're here. Because
everything, I mean, with Walk Me Brother, like nothing, there's no dollar signs on it, obviously. There's no ways.
It's a nonprofit. There shouldn't be.
You know what I mean, though? But sometimes people they'll have that kind of like, well, what am I getting out of it? Whereas I know I'm going to get so much joy out of this. It's going to cost me a fortune to do it, but like you said before, we're looking on really the help of others, raising money for such an amazing cause. But our goal is really, the idea of this nonprofit was for mental health to be accessible to everyone in this country, not your insurance card or how long you've got to wait to see somebody. So that's the challenge, and also this is not about a hash. I always say it's not about a hashtag or even just awareness. It's about building a community,
It's 100% what it is, because that's what nonprofit is.
Yeah.
And that's our job as founders, is to build that community.
Exactly.
And just to light everyone else's, spark. And sometimes people don't have someone passionate in their life, and they look over like Harry Met Sally, and they're like, I want what she's having. And that's what the nonprofit founder is supposed to, is to provide that joy, because we have found our purpose, and we're excited. Our job is to kind of offer it to others, saying, hey, try this. This is really great. And then they're like, I want to be part of that. That's so cool. I love that. And that's what you're doing. And so that's what you're supposed to keep doing.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you for coming on. I mean, I know you're so busy, so giving up your time. I'm really so appreciative of you coming over here. And where are you living now?
Pasadena.
Okay, so there's a trek. I really thank you so much. And I just think we'll do good things. And I'm looking forward to people can see your podcast, which I'll put in the description below, and obviously follow you on social and all the great work that you're doing.
Thanks, Rob. Such a privilege.
Thank you so much.